Hey ladies, welcome back to the second day of the snacking challenge. Let's kick off today's topic by creating a familiar scenario in your brain. Think of what happens when you order a tub of popcorn at the cinema. You bring it to your seat. You sit down. Your hand continually travels from the tub to your mouth and back again, mostly even without your awareness. Because you're so absorbed by the movie, you don't even take much time to notice how the popcorn tastes. You just eat and eat and eat. And then, eventually, your hand reaches the bottom of the tub, roots around for more, but then you find none. This can even happen when the popcorn doesn't even taste good. So, depending on the size of the bucket, you could have easily consumed over 1,200 calories, the equivalent of two personal-sized pizzas. Yet, you are left with a sense of wanting more, as if you didn't have enough. Now, I don't encourage you to count calories at all, but I think that's one of the easiest ways to show how mindless eating is a problem. If we ate only mindlessly at the movies, it might not be as much of a problem, but then we tend to eat mindlessly most of the time. Or we walk by the reception of our office and there's just this sweet jar and we grab a piece of chocolate. Or we are sitting next to a loved one who happens to be eating some crisps. We grab a few and then more, even though we are not hungry. Or we finish a large serving of pasta just because it's there. Or we walk past a bakery and the aroma of these baked goods just lure us in. We are all surrounded by many influences to eat all the time, and our reactions are triggered rapidly without us even knowing. Just the sight, smell, or thought of food can cause us to eat the cookies, chips, or snack bowls. That's neuroscience. That's how our brains has associated these triggers with food. So today, I'll share with you this one strategy that I think will really help you. Mindfulness. I deliberately said mindfulness instead of mindful eating because I believe the whole idea of mindfulness is a lot more useful. Being more mindful isn't just about meal times when you pay attention to how you eat, the taste of food, the smell, the texture, and all that. I mean, doing those will help you savor your food more and feel more satisfied. But I think what most people consider mindful eating to be ignores the bigger picture of the problem. Whether you overeat or not is not something that you can change at meal times. The rest of your day matters so much more. Lots of people get this resistance when they hear mindfulness because they either think that it's purely about meditations or they think that mindfulness is about religions. But no, mindfulness simply means paying deliberate attention, doing things one mindfully and non-judgmentally, not judging yourself or anything else. Before I go into why mindfulness will help you overcome unplanned eating episodes, let me demonstrate this with a story of a client, Lucy. She kindly let me share her story. She came to work with me because she wanted to get her snacking habits under control. She lives alone and she works freelance, so there wasn't really any structure to her day, and all day long she'd be reaching for snacks. Like when she was in front of the computer, she'd graze on snacks, or when she was having a break, she'd grab a larger snack. And that goes on for all day long. She didn't really have any proper meals, as in breakfast, lunch, or dinner in the traditional sense. And in fact, most days she couldn't even recall what she has eaten because she wasn't paying any attention at all. So after we implemented the 3-2-0 structure, one of the things that we did was to pay more attention, be more mindful and intentional in her day, and she learned to actually listen to her body. At first, she thought mindfulness only meant meditation and having to sit there for hours, and she was reluctant. But when I explained that it only takes a couple of moments a few times a day to tune in with her body, she was a lot more open to trying. And she decided she'd take a minute 3 times a day to check in with herself, how she was feeling, thinking, or whether she was having any urges, whether she was hungry, etc. And a week in, she already told me she noticed she was constantly thinking about food. But she also noticed that she wasn't hungry. She just had urges to grab food. And because she noticed those thoughts and urges, that allowed us to develop an effective coping plan. So as you see, mindfulness is useful not only while eating, but also during the day. And the entire week, she didn't have to sit down and do deep breathing or body scanning. So yesterday, we worked on making a realistic, sustainable plan. Today, we'll add mindfulness into the day. I can say with certainty that eating out of a bag or a carton while sitting on the sofa watching TV is like a national pastime. But it's a scene that creates a perfect storm for mindless overeating. To break that habit, we need to be really intentional about what we do and don't do. When you have your snacks any time of the day, but especially at night, put a portion into a bowl or onto a plate and put the rest away. Sit at the table and fully enjoy your food. When you are done, you can return to whatever you are doing. Just don't multitask. Our bodies try to communicate with us all the time, but if we don't pay attention, we remain out of touch with our hunger, fullness, cravings, emotions, thoughts, and urges. Mindlessness often leaves us feeling unsatisfied, even emotionally empty, and yet at the same time uncomfortably full. That's because when we eat mindlessly, we remain out of touch with the signals our bodies are trying to give us, and we don't recognize our usual triggers and how full or how satisfied we are feeling. Our thoughts affect our actions. When we react without considering what we are doing, we also end up feeling a loss of control. Not knowing where our thoughts or our cravings come from often causes us to eat mindlessly. When we encounter a trigger to eat, whether that's visual, mental, or social, we react with a thought or several thoughts, many of which take place so quickly that we are not aware of them. And a lot of thoughts are capable of triggering a destructive cycle of overeating, whether a relatively small amount or a true binge. We often don't even realize what we are telling ourselves, such as one bite won't hurt. Some of these thoughts are understandable, others are just habits that we choose to justify the first bite, the next bite, and then many more. And that's why we don't just pay attention during eating, we pay attention to other things that happen at other times of the day too. Mindfulness is the middle way between mindless eating and restricted eating, and that's based on several principles. The first one is only you know what your mind and your body need. Remember, yesterday I said you need both physically and mentally nourishing foods to prevent overeating. No one can tell you how hungry you feel or whether you have had enough to feel full. Your friends don't know how much food you need to feel satisfied, and neither do popular diets. Learning to be more mindful allows you to tap into your inner wisdom, informed by your hunger, satisfaction, and enjoyment, so that you can make more flexible decisions for your health, your weight, and your life. You use your thoughts and feelings to inform yourself and not to punish yourself. Rather than constantly being caught up in what you should do or should eat and what you shouldn't, you learn to make choices based on what your body needs, your current eating habits, your desire for certain foods, your cravings, and how you are feeling, and experiment with different food choices rather than what you think diets tell you you should eat. Rather than reacting to different things, you simply notice them with a non-judgmental awareness. This awareness will help you make decisions about whether you really want a food and how much of it will satisfy you. And as I said, there are no bad foods. You shouldn't label your food as good or bad, and you shouldn't cut out foods out of your diet simply because you think it's a bad food or it'll make you gain weight or is unhealthy, unless it's for an actual medical reason, such as allergy intolerances or Crohn's disease. When you eat in moderation, having your favorite food does not lead to weight gain or health problems. In fact, that's good for you. You really shouldn't feel guilty for eating because food is what we need to sustain life. And with mindfulness, you learn what is nourishing physically and mentally for you. And from yesterday's lesson, we learned that relying on willpower and guilt leads to dissatisfaction and struggle. Exchange willpower and guilt for exploration and understanding, and invite yourself to get in touch with all of the thoughts and emotions, whether that's positive or negative. When you become more mindful, you bring joy back to your food and your life, and you gradually learn to appreciate that your life is not just about food or about your weight. Isn't a life not controlled by food amazing? And lastly, you'll always have a relationship with food and your body, whether it's a positive one or a negative one, and that's your choice. Your life is about so much more than what you eat and how much you eat, what you weigh, or how you look. Part of mindfulness is being non-judgmental, which means not getting caught up in your thoughts or beliefs. That's why in the Stop Binge Eating program, I help my clients develop a relationship with food that's nourishing and in balance with the rest of their lives, so that rather than being in a constant struggle with food and with their bodies, they experience a sense of freedom, and that those other areas of your life deserve more of your awareness, attention, and appreciation. So now that you know why living your life mindfully will help you get closer to your goals, what do you do now? Yesterday, we talked about planning in advance, and today I want you to build on that. I want you to start taking a few minutes out of your day to notice your thoughts, your urges, and your cravings, and write that down. And that will allow you to notice your trigger moments. As I said, your whole journey isn't just about food or about meal times. It's about noticing what's happening within you and around you. Just like mindful eating begins when you're food shopping, when you think about what you're buying, and continues in the kitchen when you think about how you prepare your food, and then throughout the meal. So tonight, when you're making your plan for tomorrow, I want you to also schedule a minute 3 times tomorrow to stop everything else and tune in with your body. So comment below and let me know whether you've learned something new about mindfulness. That's it for today, and I hope you found that helpful, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow.